Yeah, so this is another beautiful spring day of cutting on the top of the world, as you can see. Hey, when I was on this unit, it was bad weather pretty much the whole time. I think I did have one good day, but other than that, it was either rain or snow or wind or all of the above. Yeah, this day here, it was really windy. The wood's pretty short, which is a good thing. Although there were some pockets of good wood, but you can see sometimes out there in the distance that, it was just howling. Yeah, this is on Wiley Creek, top end of Wiley Creek there. Actually, if you can see it, I'm looking down on the Calapooya drainage there. But I think I only saw it really once. Yeah, so this one, I can't remember now how many acres the block was, but either they didn't really put a lot of work into the reprod, or it didn't take for one reason or the other. But really, they were hoping I'd get 15 acres maybe, and I think I ended up getting 21, so I did well. It was a tough unit, I have to say. I mean, as you can see, it's really brushy, which is kind of a pain in the neck, but on this one, it was a good thing, because that tag alder, which grows kind of in little clumps, maybe 25, 30 little stems. I could buzz those, grab them, lay them down in front of me. Because this was an adverse piece, so in other words, I'm dropping off a hill, and the shovel is going to be swinging it uphill. So I was chasing these little fingers down the hill, and there were several wet draws that ran down. It was nothing but alder, so I'd kind of pick out the fingers of timber, there was some Doug fir, but quite a lot of whitewood. It's fairly high elevation, and worked my way down. And that's a pretty uncomfortable feeling. I'm not tethered, and as you can see, it's wet, and it was fairly steep. And that concept of cutting downhill is, it just doesn't feel all that comfortable, it's kind of a lonely feeling, to tell you the truth. This piece here, when the video started, I was working my way down. I did have to flag a trail, mostly to see what I was getting into, because it was so damn brushy, you just could not tell at all. I was working alongside a very wet kind of swale. It wasn't really a draw, and you need to know what you're getting into before you get going down into it, so you don't get hung up or slide down into a place that you can't get out of. But always in the back of my mind is like how I'm going to get out, and there was no way that I was getting out the way I cut down on the edge of the edge of the little block, because it was steep and wet and side hill to boot. But it did moderate a little bit. What I did when I was flagging it, I was fully rain geared up, and I thrashed my way down. Hung ribbons kind of across my fingers was going to work out. Then when I got down to the bottom of it, I hooked over and walked up through really the block of the timber, if you can call it that, and mainly to see what the grade was, because as you can tell, there are a couple places coming up where you can see I'm looking down the hill, and the fog and the rain lets up a little bit, and you can see it. I definitely was cutting, on that angle that I favor, kind of as steep as I can climb, but I'm moderating the angle of the hill, and that I can't recommend that enough. That really is a good technique. There are a lot of places I go, not tethered, that there's just no way I can climb the hill straight up and down, bad conditions, and also the angle works well because I'm moderating the amount that I have to throw it to keep the wood in lead. So anyhow, I put a full day down in on this finger pulling it up, and these scenes here, it's towards the end of the day. You can see the fog out there in the distance. That's the Calapooya down there, and it socked right in again. Oh man, this is one of those days where you hope and pray you don't break down, especially down at the bottom. I mean, I cut all this brush. It works so well as a tool in bad conditions. Dicing up, what I call trail mix underneath my low track. It just makes a huge difference in getting around. But even when I don't know it, or I don't need that traction, I cut all the brush. I hate brush. My machine is greasy. All the joints are greasy because I grease it heavily, and that brush will drag on them, and then next thing you know, you got all over your windows and handles and everything, and one little 1-inch twig, you run over it and it happens to catch wrong, tear off a hose, and there you are, So I actually spend a lot of time cutting brush. I guess some guys kind of wallow through it and do all right, but it just never really, I've had more troubles by not doing it than taking the time to just blow it up, get it out of my way so I can see what I'm doing. I think it looks better too, it's sound forestry, really, I mean, basically a clear cut, even age management. You don't want anything growing, so seedlings have the best chance of getting going. Yeah, so there was kind of a little bench at the top of this patch that it had kind of nice younger stems on it. All the wood on this unit had terrible damage from snow break, about like 25 feet up. It must have been a hell of a snow year, because almost every tree, exhibited that crook there. This younger stuff was no different, but you can kind of see when I'm swinging around. I think in this section, this is kind of moderate ground. I think they site prepped it with a D8 or something. They kind of pushed some of the slash down. The stocking was good. Made kind of a mess where they ended up pushing that stuff. So this is the end of the day, and I'll tell you what, it's a good feeling on a piece like this, on a day like this, to, have made it back up, and climb the hill. The road's within reach. Even got a little bit of kind of decent cutting for myself to swing the last few bunches down. Yeah, my boss actually came by to check on me. He was come up from the yarder, and it was really blowing. And I said, we were talking on the radio, and he said something about it. And I said, I should find some reason. I was down in the hole still. I should find some reason for you to come down here and take a look at something. He said, I hope you weren't going to say that. Yeah. It's almost the end here. Climb up on the road, drain some water off. It's funny, I didn't realize when I was cutting quite how hard it was blowing, but I got out and got my rain gear on. I was getting going on the maintenance in the sideways rain. It blew my hard hat off. It was so windy I couldn't wear my hard hat. I had to grab my little cap there. Yeah. So there you have it. Another day of cutting. Hope you enjoy it. As always, thanks for watching.